I'm so sorry, buddy. I came so late.
Every neighborhood has its routines, but no one on Maple Street expected a German Shepherd to become part of theirs. Because every Thursday, at exactly 7 a.m., he appeared. Not barking, not causing trouble, just waiting. Waiting for the same garbage truck. The workers named him Ranger. He wasn't loud. He didn't bark or chase the truck like most dogs might. He simply stepped onto the street at exactly 7 a.m., lifted his head toward the approaching vehicle, and then began trotting behind it. Not happily, but with a strange sort of purpose, like someone who still shows up to work long after they've retired. Carlos, the driver, noticed it first. Ranger followed them down the entire length of Maple Street, staying a few feet behind the truck the whole time. When they reached the end, he simply sat, watching until the truck turned away. Then he quietly walked back to the same small blue house with an overgrown lawn. At first, everyone thought he belonged to someone still living there. But the house always stayed dark. No cars, no lights, and no people. Ranger didn't wait outside the door like a dog begging to be let in. He just sat beside the porch for a moment each Thursday, as if checking that nothing had changed, and then disappeared again until the next week. One rainy morning, the wind was sharp, and the gutters overflowed with cold water racing toward the drains. Carlos almost felt relieved, thinking the dog might finally skip a day. No animal would wait in weather like this. Carlos looks out the window of the truck and says, "If he shows up today, then something's wrong. He's not just wandering." But when the truck turned onto Maple Street, there he was. Ranger stood in the pouring rain, soaked, shivering slightly, but still present at 7 a.m., as though the storm meant nothing to him. Carlos felt something twist in his chest. After finishing the route, he stepped out from the truck and approached Ranger with quiet steps. The dog didn't back away. He simply turned and walked toward the blue house, pausing at the porch, looking at Carlos as if inviting him to understand. He says, "Buddy, what's wrong? What are you doing here?" A neighbor raking wet leaves nearby watched the scene. "You looking for his owner?" she asked. "Yeah," Carlos said. "He does this every week." The neighbor sighed, lowering her rake. "He belonged to an older man named Tom Parker," she said. "Nice man. That dog helped him every Thursday, walked with him while he dragged the trash bin out to the street. They never missed a week." "What happened to him?" "He passed away 6 months ago. The house has been empty since." Carlos felt his breath catch. "His daughter came for a couple of weeks after it happened," the neighbor added. "But she had to go back to her job. They thought the dog ran off during the move. She looked for him, though. Poor thing. We tried reaching her back then, but never heard back." Carlos glanced back at Ranger, who was now sitting quietly by the front door, head lowered, rain dripping off his fur. The dog wasn't waiting for food. He wasn't lost. He was holding on to the last routine he understood, the last part of the man he loved. That same day, the shelter came to help. Ranger didn't resist. He allowed them to guide him gently into the truck. He rode beside Carlos, leaning softly against his arm, as if exhausted after months of repeating the same lonely ritual. At the shelter, they scanned a microchip. "Owner is listed as Emily Parker," the worker said. "Do we call?" Emily answered on the second ring. Her voice cracked immediately. "I've been searching for him. I thought he didn't make it." She arrived the next morning. She didn't rush into the room. She stood there, unsure, almost afraid that Ranger wouldn't remember her after so much time. "Ranger?" she whispered. The shepherd turned his head. His ears lifted. His tail moved just once, a small, tentative wag. Then Ranger walked to her, slow but sure, and pressed his head against her stomach in the gentle, leaning way that German shepherds reserve only for people they trust deeply, the same way he used to lean into her father. Emily wrapped her arms around him. "I'm so sorry," she murmured into his fur. "You won't wait alone anymore." Carlos stood in the hallway, relieved. He didn't want thanks. He just wanted Ranger to have someone to stand beside again, not a routine to chase. A week later, in Emily's new home, Ranger sat by the window. It was Thursday, 7 a.m. The familiar garbage truck rolled down her street. Ranger's ears perked. He watched quietly, eyes following the vehicle as it disappeared. He didn't stand. He didn't run after it. He simply remembered. Emily placed her hand on his back. "You don't have to follow it anymore," she whispered. "He knew you were there for him, every single week." Rangers leaned into her leg, finally at peace. Some dogs don't cling to the past out of confusion. They cling because love taught them routines that outlast a lifetime. And for Ranger, Thursday mornings were never just about trash. They were about the man he once walked beside, and the promise he never forgot. Before you go, tell me one thing. Do you believe dogs remember love more than humans do, even after life changes? I'd love to hear your thoughts below.